Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
And welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson. Happy to have you back on our journey down the road to the unknown as we attempt to discover the answers as to what exists on the other side. And as always, I'm coming to you from the headquarters of the X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And I'm speaking to you from the X-Zone Nation's Southern Command Post in beautiful Vero Beach and Fellsmere, Florida, in the good old U.S. of A. And tonight, folks, we're going to take a little bit of a turn because my guest tonight is the one and only, our glorious leader, if you will, Mr. Rob McConnell, the CEO of REL-MAR Productions, X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network, former brother in blue in law enforcement, and one of the true leaders in paranormal broadcasting and broadcasting, period, across the world. Rob, welcome to my show, Paranormal Stakeout, my friend.
Larry, as always, it's a great pleasure talking with you on your show, and also it gives me a great feeling of pride to be the producer of your show. And I must tell you, Larry, it's great working with you, and thanks so much for having me on your show. Well,
it's kind of an inspirational thought that I had. So many people in this world, they want to do things. They want to move forward, but they let themselves get bogged down with the I can'ts and I'll never do it. Yet your story truly is an inspiration to those out there that want to do something, that have a vision. And that's what I'd like to talk with you a little bit about tonight. Now, you're brother in blue. You spent a number of years in law enforcement in Quebec, correct?
That's right.
And spent some time out there and that was what, about 1742? Oh, I'm just kidding.
No, it was 1693. I actually was one of the first bodyguards for Jacques Cartier, the great explorer.
But spending all those years in law enforcement, what inspired you to do that?
Well, I come from a long lineage of law enforcement officers. My dad was a fingerprint expert. One of my uncles was a sergeant. Another one of my uncles was a lieutenant. I had an uncle in the Outremont police force. And law enforcement runs deep in our family history, not only on this side of the ocean, but also in Ireland.
In Ireland, too?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So yeah, and I mean, as you and I've discussed, I've got somewhat of the same lineage
Hmm.
myself with my father and grandfather, my daughter. Um, so knowing that proud history you had, you ended up in the broadcasting field.
Yeah.
How did that occur?
There were three things I wanted to do when I was a kid. Like, we were always taught to have goals in life. First thing I wanted to do is I wanted to be a rock and roll star. I wanted to, that was the age of the Beatles. Everybody wanted to be a rock and roll star, not only for the money, but for the good-looking girls that would follow you. And then I wanted to be a policeman. And I also wanted to be in broadcasting because my mom worked in broadcasting in Montreal. She worked for several radio stations, and my mother was an on-screen actress for a lot of the TV series that were produced and some of the shows that were produced out of CFCF TV and in Montreal. And I used to go with my mom to the set and watch the technical aspect because I was more interested in what was going on behind the scenes than I was, on the actual production that was being portrayed in front of me. So I was in a rock and roll band. I was in one of the very first Beatle clone bands that did the Montreal REL circuit. Yeah, and then I went into the police force, and because of multiple sclerosis and a degenerative hip disease called Casson's disease, I had to leave. And it was either take a desk job or, and I couldn't see myself sitting behind a desk. And I decided, hey, well, here's my... Now, and the funny part is, prior to leaving law enforcement, I started dabbling in television. I opened up a small company with a good friend of mine who was a corporate lawyer in Montreal and two other friends. We called it MGB Video. And we did TV commercials. I did Hyatt Regency Hotel, Queen Elizabeth Hotel, Canadian Satellite in Lachine. I did Woodhouse Legary. And the pitch was, within 48 hours after producing your commercial, I would have you on the Johnny Carson show. Your commercial would be playing on the Johnny Carson show. And there was a set price, and I did have these commercials playing on the Johnny Carson show. But it wasn't the national feed. It was the local affiliate in Plattsburgh, WPTZ. But still, the people who were watching the Johnny Carson show throughout through the state of New York, parts of New Hampshire, as well as all of Quebec were seeing that commercial.
Well, that's you definitely fulfilled.
So after I got out of law enforcement full time, I figured, well, I've always wanted to do this full time. But instead of doing the radio TV first, I did the newspaper first, the X Chronicles. And after the story was picked up by Maclean's magazine and all the major Canadian newspapers because, hey, what's this little guy from a place called St. Catharines who is publishing a paper that is going right across Canada, and it's about ghost hauntings, things that go bump in the night, UFOs. Wow, this is interesting. After the second publication, I got a call from Brian Wilde, a producer at CHML here in Hamilton, and he said, Rob, I'm going to make you an offer. That it's a once-in-a-lifetime offer. I'd like you to come on the Bill Kelly show with us for the next 2 weeks, Monday through Friday, for 2 hours, and talk about the paranormal and your newspaper and interact with our callers. Would you be interested? I said, count me in. And that's where the radio side of the X Zone started. In fact, when we first started, it was called the X Chronicles radio show. And then we cut it to the X Zone so we could have the definite split between the newspaper and the radio show. And then while I was doing the first part of the X Zone radio show, television picked us up. And, I started doing CBC, CTV, and local media in Canada and the United States. So we got syndicated. I was doing when you first start in radio, you hop a lot. We started off at CHSC, we went to CKDX, we went to CIII, and then we ended up at 1290 CJBK in London. And this is where the X Zone was started to be taken seriously. A satellite distributor and syndicator by the name of Mark Simpson, who worked for CanCom, said, you've got a good show there. I'm interested in syndicating it. But in order to syndicate it, we have to get you to a station that has a satellite upload link. And he said, I've got one in St. Catharines, 610 CKTB. Would you be willing to move to St. Catharines? I said, sure. So he made arrangements for me to meet the O'Briens who owned CKTB. And 3 weeks later, I moved everything to St. Catharines. While I was there, I was doing my show, and they said, hey, listen, you're kind of an easy-to-get-along guy. Would you like to do some PR for us? Would you like to be go out and meet people, represent the station? I said, sure. And then because I love digging into things, the station owner said, how would you like to be executive producer and handle all our shows? Okay. So I did that. So there I was, started off with an idea, moved it around, grew it slowly, got to a station who recognized the hard work that I've been putting in over the years and the dedication and the interest and the ratings that I was getting for the station. And then the syndicator walks in, and he is talking to the general manager of the station, and they're talking about the X Zone, and this is where we moved to from CJBK to CKTB. CKTB, I'm still pushing the X Zone 3 nights a week now. 3 nights a week, 4 hours a night, live, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And I get the offer to work on the promotions and then as executive producer. While I'm there, I learn everything I can about AM radio and FM radio. The chief engineer, Joe Gurney, a good friend of mine, had the patience of Jove, taught me everything, and then I needed to grow because I needed to get into larger markets. I got a call from LWRN, the Liberty Works Radio Network in Las Vegas, and they said, we want to syndicate your show. Are you interested? We'll get you into, to start, 16 U.S. Markets. Los Angeles, Miami, Reno, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. I said, sure. The kick was I had to say goodbye to CKTB at this time. And it was like, well, what am I going to do? I think you've got a commercial break coming up here, buddy.
I do in just a few minutes, but I didn't want you to lose that thought there. Just like the producer, you're watching me. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we've got just a few seconds more, but I want to ask you, and when we get back, we're going to talk about this. You made it sound so easy, Rob, but you faced a lot of adversity getting there, and I want to talk about that when we get back in just a few minutes. So, folks, stay with us. I'm with Rob McConnell, the President, CEO, boss man of the X Zone Radio and Television Network, and we'll be right back after this message to hear more of his story. Stay with us.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions. offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Rob McConnell. Rob, we're hearing your story, and I got to tell you, my friend, man, it sounded so easy. The doors just opened, and you moved through, but it really wasn't that easy, was it?
No, because for every door that opened, I had to do a lot of knocking, and for every one door that opened, there must have been at least 300 that didn't. The biggest thing that I can share with anyone who's listening tonight, if you have a dream, you need to have persistence, and your dream will come true, because I've always believed, Larry, the difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. You know, the dream is the idea, the reality is the fruition of your dream. And there's no one who's ever written a book that said it's going to be easy. It's not. It's hard.
That's for sure.
And everyone who attempts to do anything that is successful fails during that time. And a failure is not the end of the road. A failure is a lesson towards success.
Amen. And you had your share of naysayers, I'm sure.
Oh,
folks that said, what are you crazy? What are you doing this for?
Sure, I did. And, having multiple sclerosis, at time you get flare-ups. And, there were times when I had trouble walking. There were times when, my vision it's called shutter vision, where you blink your eye and it's like seeing 4 to 5 different pictures go through at the same time.
Wow.
And our family was young back then, and it had its crunches on the family. But you know what? The family is the inspiration. I can give you metaphor after metaphor after metaphor. But the getting down to the bottom line is there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of door knocking. There's a lot of telephone calling. And when somebody would say no, that would just push me.
I hear you.
And
yeah.
And not, I had a station manager tell me, Rob, you know what the definition of sir is? I said, yeah, that's what I call you. and he said, no, sir is success is revenge. And he said, I'm going to promise you something, my young friend. I was young back then. That there are going to be people who reject you today that will come to you in the future and want what you have that you offered them, and they rejected. And you know what? Over the years, that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing anything that no one else can do, Larry. I'm like every other guy out there and every other gal out there. I get up in the morning, I wash, I shave. Well, unless you're a girl, then you don't have to shave. But you know what I mean? There's nothing that I do that everyone else doesn't do. Like, there's no magic pill. There's no magic solution. I don't know how many times when I was starting that I went to a bank to try and get a $500 loan because I needed a new piece of equipment, and time was so tight at home that it just couldn't be done. And it was no way.
Well, to kind of I'm going to put a personal spin on it just a second. And I face this, and you've heard me on the show many times talk about my vision of standards and training in the paranormal field and working to really discover what the answer is. And I can't even tell you how often I hear, it'll never happen, you'll never be able to do it, there's just no way it can happen, you'll have too many people snipping at your heels. And that makes me just want to work harder to obtain the goal. So I hear what you're saying, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Like I was saying before we went on air, Larry, the people who are naysayers are people who are envious and who are jealous because they understand that you have something that will work, that is going to be a reality because you work hard at it, you're dedicated, you're persistent, you don't take no for an answer. And you're working on it, so it's already attained some success. Like, you're not finished. I know that you're going to take this project that you're working on and take it to the stars. I have faith in you, and I know what you're doing. So when you get people who are naysayers, Larry, in my opinion, coming from the school of hard knocks and graduating from the university of they said he'd never do it, you're going to do it.
Well,
persistence, my friend.
And I appreciate that, and that's my vision to find out what that answer is. But getting back to you for just a second, as you've moved through, devastation. Your family are all cops.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if I ever told you, but I had a bad injury early on in my career. Broke my neck actually at the base of the skull, and they told me it was over for me.
Yeah,
it wasn't. But I realized at that point, what am I going to do if I don't keep pushing forward? So that's what I did. And I can only imagine how that felt to you. Your whole family's cops. You were stricken with this horrible affliction, but you moved forward. Mm-hmm. You fought forward.
Yeah.
And look where you're at today. Now, as you moved into the broadcasting field, you could have done sports. You could have done politics. But you chose paranormal. How did that happen?
Well, I've always had an interest in the paranormal. I prior to being in the X Zone, I had gone down. I always used to read books on the paranormal. Eric von Däniken, Chariot of the Gods, and then the books on Atlantis, the books on the Bermuda Triangle, flying saucers, ghost hauntings. My little library at home was filled with these pocket books. And I really enjoyed it. And, I had been diving down in the Bermuda Triangle, and I had done many explorations of my own in Canada. And when I was I had also told you, or, I wanted to be a cop, I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be a cop, and I wanted to be a broadcaster. Well, okay, here I am. I've done the music scene. I'm married, got kids. I've been a policeman. Well, broadcasting, let's do that now. The goals. And I thought, okay, well, there's Art Bell. I used to listen to Art. And there were the shows were starting on the paranormal, and I said, well, there's no magazines or newspaper out there. And I said, anybody can write a magazine, but a newspaper. Because whenever I went on a train, people were reading newspapers. Whenever I went on the subways in Toronto, they were reading newspapers. So I figured, The first edition of the X Chronicles we put out was 20 pages only. And the front cover was a picture of an elongated skull that a good friend of mine, Bob Conley, and his wife, they went down to Peru and they did they actually did a DVD going way back then called Ancient Mysteries. Mm-hmm. And he gave me the rights to use the pictures. And I had 5,000 of these things printed up. Okay, and back then, to get 5,000 printed up, I think our cost was something like $6,000. And the wife said, when I picked up these 5,000 newspapers that were bundled, she says, now what are you going to do with them? Here, I've got them lined up in the living room. I said, I'm going to sell them. How? Well, I'm going to get a distributor. Who? I don't know. What do you know about distribution of newspaper? Well, I've got the newspaper. I've got to get them distributed. Simple logic, right?
and the drive to go forward, as we mentioned before.
Exactly. Well, I had a hell of a hard time trying to find a distributor. So what I ended up doing, taking my son, and we went driving throughout Niagara, and anybody who had a mailbox, guess what they got? A newspaper, free.
Yep.
About 3 weeks after doing this and clearing the house up of 5,000 newspapers, and I'm saying, oh, I'm dead. Spent $6,000, didn't get any money in. Oh, I'm dead. Got a call from a distributor in St. Catharines saying, we've been getting calls about this newspaper that people are finding in their mailboxes. Your name is on there. What can you tell us about it? I said, well, I publish it. He said, how often do you publish it? I said, every month. He says, really? He says, come on down to our offices. We want to talk to you. Okay. Went down to their offices, talked to them. He says, we'd like to distribute your newspaper throughout Niagara, Hamilton, West, the Golden Horseshoe. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, great. He said, the deal is that we'll distribute it. We take so much percentage of the sale price. You give us the newspaper today. It takes about 30 days for us to distribute it, and then we collect it back. He said it'll be about 3 months before you get your first check.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So we shook hands, and I went home, and I said, we're getting our newspaper distributed. And the wife says, oh, that's great, but you don't have any more, moron. I said, I'm going to do another one. She says, that's great. Now, where are you going to get the money to print it? I said, honey.
Wives will do it to you, huh?
Yeah. To make a long story short, I got another $5,000. Got the newspaper down to these people at CUA Distribution. And then I had to get another $6,000 for another 5,000 copies because I had to give them month by month, right? I think you've got to take a commercial break here, buddy.
I'm watching it. You keep going. You got a few more seconds here?
No, I don't.
Okay, you win. You are the producer. Okay, well, folks, stay with us. We're going to hear more back on Rob McConnell's inspirational story in just a couple seconds. So stay with us here on Paranormal Stakeout. Be back shortly.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hyde's life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
And we are back for round 3 of the show tonight, Paranormal Stakeout, with my guest, Rob McConnell. Rob, just before the break, we were kind of talking about how you started distributing your paper that your wife was really worried about.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and continue the story there. It was getting interesting.
Okay, so we have the first edition that we gave away, but it was an investment because it was that first issue and the way that we distributed it that got us our first distributor. So with a distributor on board, I was able to, I better rephrase this before Laura hears this. We were able, Laura and I, were able to find the funds necessary for the next edition, which was the first edition that was going to be published and distributed. And we had to do the same thing for the second issue and the third issue. Well, towards the end of the third month, I got a call from our distributor. By the way, we had to change distributors because more and more people were wanting the newspaper, so we had to get a distributor with a wider reach, and we actually got a cross-Canada distributor by the name of Gordon and Gotch, and they distributed our newspaper right across Canada. And we got a call from Gordon and Gotch, and it was the young lady in accounts payable. She said, "Hello, Mr. McConnell, your check is ready to be picked up. Would you like us to mail it, or would you like to come pick it up?" And I said, "Well, can you tell me how much it is?" And she said, "Sure, just a sec. It's $32,786.
Oh.
I said, "I beg your pardon?" And she repeated it. Now, this was for the first batch that went out. Okay?
Okay.
So I said, "Do you want to tell that to my wife?" And she repeated it itself. And the missus says, "Tell her we'll come and pick it up in about 2 hours." So on the way to, they were up in Vaughan, which is north of Toronto, and we were in St. Catharines, about a 2.5-hour drive. We didn't say a word to each other. I was thinking, they made a mistake. That's not the right amount. We're going to get there, and it's going to be a big letdown. I'm dead. And just to find out that the missus was thinking the very same thing. But when we got there, went inside, got the check. It was in an envelope. Got in the car, drove away from the company, pulled over to the side, opened the check, and there it was, $32,700 and some odd dollars. First thing we did, we looked at each other, drove to a branch of our bank and deposited the check right away.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So then another 30 days, we got another call from the distributor. Again, our check is ready. How much? And each month, the amount, each time that we received the call, because don't forget, it's 30 days behind, the check amount would be higher. And we went from a 20-page pony tab to the current 92-page full newspaper tabloid size that we have today, 11 by 17, and we went from black and white to color. In this meantime, the radio aspect was picking up and gaining momentum, and as the radio momentum started, so did the TV. And in the meantime, when I was at CJBK, where we got syndicated back to St. Catharines, I invented a board game called the X Game. And because I figured, well, people like trivia, people like this, people like that, and we put this concept together called the X Game. And it's unique because it's not a traditional game board that is folded in half and you open it. There are 4 puzzle pieces that interlock, like a puzzle, because you could buy different add-on versions. For example, you could take one corner out that would, let's say, be cryptozoology. And you could buy the edition for hauntings and ghosts and put that piece in. And then you could also, the next one you could buy would be like on the Bermuda Triangle. The next one you could buy would be on UFOs. There was always a different package that you could buy. And these were totally interchangeable. It was great. We even had a version that you could play in the car. Mind you, it was a magnetic board. Not a board, but you rolled it up. It came in a tube, and it had magnetic pieces. But you couldn't interchange the pieces on this. It was the car version. But you would use the question and answer cards that came with your board game in the car.
So, newspaper magnate, radio personality, television star, and game inventor.
Yeah. Plus, I published 32 books so far.
32 books.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess this is the biggest part of the story. The reason why I really wanted to talk with you tonight is for people to hear this story, to hear that what you went through, how you got to where you're at, and look at where you're at today. Now, recently, you've had some pretty big news on the X Zone with simulcast TV.
Yeah.
But also, you're making a big move soon, aren't you?
Yeah. Well. First of all, let's get back to Simul TV. I've known the guys at Simul TV for 10 years now, and we've been working with them on different many projects over these years. We've done pay-per-view venues for them up here that have nothing to do with the paranormal, and yet we've done other pay-per-view venues that are totally paranormal. Because over the years, we've turned ourselves into a full-fledged radio and television production facility as well. Everything we do is in-house. We don't farm anything out. And I guess it was 2 years ago, Steve Turner, the CEO of Simul TV, was talking to me about his vision about having something like Netflix, except much expanded. Because if you've got an American Netflix account and you go to, let's say, Japan, you don't get the same programming that you do with your American when you're in America, when you're in Japan on Netflix. And the same is for any other of these online video subscriptions, where he created an algorithm that allows you to take your Simul TV access and use it on any type of handheld device, laptop computer, desktop, smart TV, and your Simul TV programming never changes.
Really?
Really. Another nice part about Simul TV is you can have live interaction with friends and family while you're watching something on Simul TV. You can get the different, for example, if you're watching the X Zone on the X Zone TV channel, you could, and you've got a smart TV or you've got your handheld device or whatever, you can have, let's say, you, your son, and other people discussing what you're watching on the X Zone in real time.
That's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. So we're really happy. We have 5 channels on Simul TV. We have 2 more in the works. And we're really happy. Simul TV is going to be one of the major players with Simul TV is Samsung. And, we're looking at our shows on Simul TV have the capability of reaching 207 million people right now around the world.
And I know for a fact that it reaches, because I was talking to a dear friend of mine in Sydney, Australia, who listens to the X Zone, heard actually this show over there. So there's no question, man, it reaches, and it's just amazing what you've built there. Now you're getting ready to make a move, though, right? A physical move.
Yeah, we're moving. Okay, since the first move from St. Catharines out, like I said, I've lived in Brampton when I was at CIII. I lived in London, Ontario, when I was at CJBK, moved back to St. Catharines when I was with CKTB, moved to Hamilton when we started REL-MAR 13 years ago, or no. How long were we? Let's see, we were in Hamilton and Ancaster for a number of years, then we moved to where we are now. And at the end of September, we're moving our corporate offices and our studios and home back to Niagara.
Back home. Oh, and this is all taking place October 1st, you say?
We're actually closing everything down on the 23rd. Well, we're not closing it down, but our studios we're not going to be doing any live productions, or because we're actually moving all the facilities the week of the 23rd until October the 1st.
Oh, okay. Is this going to cause any interruption in any of the shows or anything?
Nope.
So people could be able to continue right on listening.
Oh, that's one thing we always make sure, is that our feeds and our satellite distribution never goes down.
So don't worry, folks. You're going to be able to hear all the terrific programming on the X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network without interruption during this important move. So this is a terrific, exciting time for you guys.
It really is. It really is. And we're moving to a little lakeshore community. It's called Crystal Beach. It's part of Fort Erie. It's on Canada's south coast.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk more when we come back.
I'm going to have you put a hold on that because I got a break coming up, because I think I hear my producer telling me I got a break coming up.
Stand by, Larry. You've got a break coming up in 38 seconds.
38 seconds. So, folks, stay with us. We got one more round here of Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Rob McConnell. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
And we are back for the final round tonight of Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, REL-MAR owner, CEO, the leader of the X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network, Rob McConnell. And with that, folks, I want to remind all of you to go to www.xzbn.net. Take a look at all the terrific programming that's available on this channel. Certainly check out my shows on the channel, and you can also get a hold of me on my email at www.paranormalstakeout.com. You can also check out my Facebook team and my website for my team down here in Florida at www.paranormalfbi.com. Rob, inspiring show tonight, a little bit different than what we normally do, but I think it's stuff that people needed to hear. Because don't you see today people just kind of almost giving up? Kind of just, all right, the status quo is what it is.
Yeah, you know, and that's so sad, because I've seen so many people over the years come up with these great ideas, and they work on it. They dedicate their time. They dedicate whatever they can to this project. Then all of a sudden, because it just doesn't seem to happen enough, they give up. And they're so close. And well, like I was saying before, Larry, once you stop believing in your dream, it dies.
Amen.
Yeah.
What do you think, what in your opinion is probably the biggest hurdle, the biggest obstacle that people face that cause them to just throw in the towel?
When they have disappointment, when it doesn't work like they think it would work, if they have failure. And like I've said before, failure is a lesson to success. Nobody starts anything and finishes anything without having failure. If anybody tells you they did it without any problems, any pitfalls, any failures, they're liars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that is? Do you think that's symbolic of today, or is this something that's always been happening with folks?
I believe it's something that has always happened. You know,
Okay.
let's look at the great inventors in life: Alexander Graham Bell, Nikola Tesla,
Thomas Edison,
and the list goes on and on and on. They were persistent. They all had failures. They all had to reinvent their wheel many times, but they didn't give up. They had that dream, and they held on to that dream. They had that vision. They held on to that vision. And they've all had naysayers. They've all faced the negative squad. But they believed in what they were doing. They knew in their heart of hearts that it was going to work. And this is the sign of a success in my opinion. For example, have you seen the movie with, oh my gosh, the one about McDonald's, the McDonald's company?
No, I haven't, but I'm familiar with it, but I have not seen it.
Okay. The entire lesson of that movie was persistence. You have to be persistent. If you're not persistent, you're going to fail. Persistence gives you the ability to keep going against all odds. And when you start something, that's exactly what you're doing. You're going against the odds. Because there's no such thing as a sure success in today's world.
No, and I think that's something a lot of people do forget. They forget things aren't handed to them.
Mm-hmm.
It takes work, and you've got to be willing to work.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to face adversity,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't expect this ugly old world to hand you things.
No.
You can't give up. Do you ever feel like giving up? Did you ever reach a point yourself where you just said, "Oh, why am I doing this?"
Oh, sure I have. Sure. Yeah, but then I sit back and I remember why I started all this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the good times. I remember the sacrifices, the people who had faith in me, my family, my kids. And that gave me the strength, and even to this day gives me the strength to continue against all adversities and all odds. You know, because I don't know when my MS is going to flare up again. You know, it's, you know, I've had 3 heart attacks. You know, I've had a tumor taken off an artery in my neck.
Yeah.
You know, and the list goes on. And I remember when I had that surgery where they took the tumor off my neck, off the artery. I was in the hospital one day, came back the next morning, and was on air that night. I took a day off.
And I remember not too long ago you went through a bout of some things and you didn't miss a step, and I knew how sick you were. So yeah. I agree. And I've got to get a plug in. Laura has been a rock for you. I got to tell you, and you could tell her I said that. So
yeah, she has. She has. She's my voice of reason. Like like if I'm working at the studio late at night, and I should be at home, I'll get a call saying, "Time to come home." I'll say, "Honey, I'm just finishing something. I'll leave here when I'm finished." And if I'm not home at what she considers to be the time when I should have come home, I'll look up from my desk, and in my office door is my wife. Now we go home.
Yeah, and you know, I've got 2 boys. You've met them, Ryan and Evan. In fact, they were on my show last week.
Listen, you've done a fantastic job as a dad, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I take very little credit. My boys have turned out well, but they've done the same thing for me. When I have just, you know, felt like, why am I bothering? Yeah. Those 2 guys are there for me all the time. And you know, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have 2 sons like that, and my whole family's been supportive. So I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from, and knowing Laura, I know what an inspiration she's been to you to keep going.
Yeah.
And if so many people look at folks like you and they say, "Oh, he's got it made. Oh, look how things have gone for him," they don't realize the obstacles you've had to overcome, and they don't realize that all they've got to do is fight those battles too, and they'll get over the hill. And
you know,
too many people forget that today.
As you know, Larry, I'm usually in the office here in our studios, our corporate offices, at 6:30 in the morning. And I usually leave, if I don't want Laura to come and get me, by 1:30 in the morning. You know, and this is definitely 6 days a week, sometimes even 7. The work doesn't stop. The dedication doesn't stop. The persistence doesn't stop. You know, whether I'm working on advertising campaigns, whether I'm working on the production of a radio show or television show, or having meetings with our legal department, our accounting, or whatever, I don't delegate my authority. I don't delegate my obligations. I don't delegate the work that I'm supposed to be doing to anyone else. It's my dream. It's my company. I carry my weight, just like my staff carries their weight, and we're a family here, you know. And I thank God my producer Craig's been with me now for 20 some odd years. In fact, you know, we go way back to when the show was first syndicated, and the people that have come to work with us, you know, 15, 20, 30 years worth of service and friendship, camaraderie. And I'm not the only person who should take credit for anything that's happened with this company. Laura should get the credit as well as these people, these friends, these extended family members who have also many times worked beyond and for the cause,
Yeah, and you know what? Never forget those that have done for you.
Exactly.
And never forget where you came from. I think those are two important things, but certainly your staff. Now, we've got about 2 minutes,
and
Rob.
11 seconds.
I'm sorry?
And 8 seconds. And 6 seconds.
The producer
and
you
4
just
seconds.
can't. In the last 2 minutes or so, we've got a lot of folks out there that are listening. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they've been inspired by this story.
I hope
But I
so.
want you to take these last minute or so, give them a final statement, give them a final bit of inspiration. Maybe you'll spark one of them listening to the show to follow their dream. Go ahead.
Let me give them a moment of truth and honesty, friendship, from somebody who has graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dream. Look beyond what the naysayers say. Don't let them sway you. Keep that vision. Keep that dream. We all have a dream, but only those with the ability to go against the greatest odds will succeed. And the only reason a person will not succeed with their dream and attain what they want in life and get that feeling of satisfaction they desire, is because they fail themselves. No one else in this world can kill that dream except yourself.
With that, as we get towards the end of our time tonight, folks, great show. A little bit of different take than we normally do, but folks, take this bit of inspiration and for God's sake, never give up. With that, folks, our time has ended tonight. Rob, thanks for being with me on the show tonight. Thanks for sharing your story.
Always a pleasure, Larry.
And folks, we'll see you next week on the other side. Thanks for listening.
With a passion for divination, Cooch Daniels, lifelong professional reader and author, invites you on a mystical journey on the Mystics, Oracles, and Divination radio show. During her time with you, you'll meet visionaries, readers, energy lightworkers, and healers who work with the tarot and other oracles. As a psychic guide, Cooch Daniels will be seeking to discover both New Age and traditional methods to deepen your mutual understanding of how you can further awaken your intuition and abilities to work with your divinatory channels. Cooch will end each hour of her show answering your questions and a meditative contemplation for prosperity, well-being, and good fortune. Join Cooch Daniels and her guests on the Mystics, Oracles, and Divination radio show at www.xzbn.net, and you can always email Cooch at mysticarts4you@yahoo.com. That's MYSTICARTS, 4, @yahoo.com. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.